Senator Sampson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I don't want to go a real long time on this. I just figure it's important that someone at least talks about the substance of this bill and the concerns about it. So I'll just do that briefly. This is a very, very simple bill. I think it's only 1 page long. It essentially removes from the current law that says that when such a permit holder is approached by a police officer, that they shall present their permit upon request to a police officer who has reasonable suspicion of a crime. And essentially the bill before us just puts who has a reasonable suspicion of a crime in brackets. I want to state also for the record that the reason why this language exists in our current law is because of a bipartisan agreement that was made at the end of the 2015 session. And this is the solution I offered so that we could pass the larger bill that this was made a part of at the time, and it would be acceptable to me. The concerns I have is that this bill essentially ignores our constitutional law. It seems like I'm beating a dead horse talking about the supremacy of federal law, but here our Constitution provides us with due process protections. They apply to every single person in our country, and they should apply to every person in this country. And we should not be picking and choosing different categories of people who are not eligible to receive due process under our current law. I believe that the solution to this can be found very simply in the education of our law enforcement officers. We heard a lot of testimony. People came before us to talk about the various instances where this came up. And it seems to me that in almost every case, the police officer would have had reasonable suspicion. That's a very, very low bar. In our laws, the highest bar would be probable cause to believe a crime has been committed. A much lower bar is just something that the officer can articulate that he has a reasonable suspicion. It's the same standard for pulling over someone in traffic, and I believe that should be the same standard no matter who you are or what you're doing, as long as you're not committing a crime. And that's where this bill and this proposal falls apart. The carry of a firearm is lawful in Connecticut, so there is no reasonable suspicion based on simply following the law by not doing something criminal that you should be interrupted. I think that if you look at case law, you will discover not only that Terry v. Ohio is the basis for all of the subsequent court cases about when a police officer can detain someone and why they have due process. I think you'll also find out that there's case law that says repeatedly that there is no provision in our laws that says that a citizen has to give up one constitutional right for the purpose of exercising another one. So if someone is exercising their Second Amendment right, that doesn't mean they give up their Fourth Amendment right. I share the concerns about racial profiling. I believe that this, not that I believe law enforcement would engage in it, but I believe that there is a distinct possibility that this bill could be misused in lots and lots of ways. People in America are innocent until proven guilty. They are not to be forcibly detained unless there is a reasonable suspicion they committed a crime. This, again, was something that was done as a bipartisan agreement years ago. I don't know why it's back here. And to the chairman, I do believe it's irredeemable, and I urge a no vote. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.